Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. Some people say betrayal is loud, full of slammed doors and broken plates. But for Lucas Grant, it arrived quietly, like a slow poison hidden inside an ordinary day. The morning sun poured through the blinds of their suburban Denver home, painting golden lines across the kitchen floor. Lucas sat alone, a half-drunk cup of coffee cooling beside him, staring at the empty chair across the table. That's where Alyssa, his wife, used to sit every morning, chatting about her upcoming projects, laughing about clients, asking if he'd seen her lucky scarf. Now that chair was just furniture. They'd been married for 7 years. Lucas, 35, owned a small home renovation business. Honest work, the kind that left sawdust on his hands and pride in his heart. Alyssa, 32, worked in public relations at a sleek downtown firm. She was sharp, beautiful, ambitious, the kind of woman who made people lean in when she spoke. He'd always admired that about her, until he realized her charm didn't stop at him. Lately, she'd been distant, distracted in ways that weren't easy to explain. She laughed at messages she wouldn't show him, stayed late at the office more often than not, and grew oddly protective of her phone. But Lucas didn't confront her. He told himself she was stressed, that maybe the spark just needed rekindling. He was wrong. One Wednesday evening, he finished a job early and decided to surprise her. He picked up her favorite Thai takeout, imagining her delighted smile when he showed up unannounced. But when he reached her office building, the lights on her floor were dim, except one. Through the glass, he saw Alyssa. She wasn't alone. A man stood close, too close. He was tall, in a pressed suit, his hand brushing her shoulder as they laughed over something on her laptop. Lucas didn't need to hear a single word. That hand on her shoulder said everything. He didn't walk in, didn't shout, didn't make a scene. He just turned around, the takeout bag trembling slightly in his grip, and drove home in silence. Later that night, when she walked through the door smiling, smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, she kissed his cheek and said, "Sorry, late meeting, traffic was insane." He smiled back. No problem. She had no idea he'd seen her. Alyssa packed the following week for what she called a girls' trip. She said it was just her and her college friends. Wine, laughter, a cabin in the woods to disconnect. Lucas helped her load the car, steady and quiet, hiding the storm under his calm voice. "Don't worry, I'll be fine," she said, adjusting her sunglasses. "Try not to miss me too much." He forced a smile. "I'll survive." When her car disappeared down the driveway, he stood there for a long moment, the wind brushing past like a whisper. Inside, he sat on the couch, pulled out his phone, and searched her social media. Nothing yet. But he knew one thing. People who hide lies forget that the truth always finds a signal. And when it does, it answers back. Lucas didn't sleep much that night. He lay awake staring at the ceiling, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the only sound filling the dark. Every second that passed drew a clearer picture of the truth he didn't want to face. The woman who once whispered, "You're my forever," had started whispering those same lies to someone else. But rage wasn't what he felt. Not yet. What settled inside him was colder, a deliberate, calculating calm. The next morning, he poured himself a cup of black coffee and scrolled through social media again. Still nothing new from Alyssa. Her profile was quiet, almost too quiet. That wasn't like her. Normally she posted everything. The food, the laughter, even the view from the plane window. Something told him this silence wasn't coincidence. He logged into his business account and opened a folder labeled Projects, one he often used to store surveillance footage from renovation sites. He wasn't a hacker, but he knew his way around security systems. A client's husband once worked in digital forensics and had helped Lucas set up a tracking app, something to find stolen equipment. Lucas had installed it on his own devices too, just in case. He'd forgotten that Alyssa's phone had synced once with his old tablet. Until now, when he opened the tracking app, a small blinking dot appeared near Lake Tahoe. His jaw tightened. The girl's trip was real, just not in the way she claimed. By noon, he saw the first update on social media. One of her coworkers had posted a group photo, people laughing around a bonfire. And there she was, Alyssa, standing next to the same man from her office, Cole Patterson, his arm around her waist. Lucas's hand clenched around his coffee cup so tightly he almost cracked it. He zoomed in on the image. Her smile looked effortless, free, like the kind she hadn't given him in months. A friend had tagged them both. The caption read, "Weekend vibes with the best crew." Lucas stared at that glowing screen for a long time. Then, with a strange steadiness, he took a deep breath and said aloud, "All right, Alyssa, you want to play games? Let's play." He didn't call, didn't text. He knew what she'd say. The same tired lines, bad signal, battery low, just the girls. Instead, he opened a private folder on his computer titled Projects, Personal. Inside were every receipt, bill, and mortgage document he'd built since their marriage. And every single one had his name alone on it. That's when the idea came. Revenge didn't have to be loud. It just had to be smart. Lucas decided to give her something she'd never expect. Time. Enough rope to hang her own lie. The next morning, his phone buzzed. A text from her. "Hey love, no reception up here. Trip's amazing. Don't worry about me." Lucas smirked faintly. He typed back, "That's strange. Your coworker just tagged you in a photo." And him. He hit send. For a moment, nothing happened. Then buzz. 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 8 missed calls. 2 voicemails. He didn't answer. He just watched the screen light up again and again, her name flashing like a warning sign. When the phone finally fell silent, he opened the first voicemail. Her voice trembled. "Lucas, it's not what it looks like. Please call me back. I can explain, I swear." He deleted it halfway through. He didn't need an explanation. He'd lived through months of them. That night, Lucas began setting the real plan in motion. While she was away, he called his lawyer, an old friend named Marcus Hale, and calmly explained the situation. Marcus didn't ask for drama. He asked for documents. Lucas sent everything over. Every asset, every property, every business registration. By morning, Alyssa's access to their joint account was restricted. The credit cards she used for shopping, disabled. The car title she thought she co-owned, transferred. Lucas wasn't taking revenge with anger. He was taking it with precision. Later that day, he stopped by a courier service with a small wooden box in his hand. Inside it lay a single photograph, the one from that Lake Tahoe post, printed, framed, and neatly sealed with a card that read, "For the office, thought this memory deserved a permanent place." He smiled, sealing it shut. The box was addressed to her workplace, attention to the staff lounge. As he walked out of the courier center, the clerk smiled and said, "Special delivery?" Lucas's expression didn't flicker. You could say that. That evening, while the sky turned a deep shade of amber, he sat on the porch sipping another cup of coffee. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Alyssa, frantic this time. "Lucas, please. Don't do anything stupid." He stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, "Too late. The truth's already on its way." And with that, he turned his phone off. Because tomorrow morning, when that box reached her office and her coworkers gathered around to watch her open it, the silence that followed would be louder than any scream. Monday morning arrived quietly, but not for Alyssa Grant. While the rest of her office eased into another work week, she rushed through the glass doors of Patterson and Bloom Marketing, wearing dark glasses and an anxious expression. Her phone had buzzed nonstop since dawn. Coworkers tagging her in comments, someone saying, "You've got mail at the front desk." Lucas's message from the night before still burned in her head. The truth's already on its way. When she spotted the small wooden box sitting on the receptionist's counter, her pulse quickened. "Who sent this?" she asked, forcing a shaky laugh. The receptionist smiled. "No name, but it's addressed to the staff lounge. Says it's for everyone." Everyone. Alyssa's stomach twisted. "Thanks," she muttered, grabbing the box quickly and heading down the hall. Her heels clicked against the tile as she passed glass-walled offices filled with people already whispering. She reached the break room just as 2 of her colleagues, Amanda and Chris, were making coffee. "Morning," Amanda said cheerfully. "Oh hey, that box came for you. Is it from the Lake Tahoe trip? You guys looked amazing in those photos." Alyssa froze mid-step. Her voice faltered. "Why, you saw those?" Chris chuckled. "Of course. You and Cole made quite the pair. I thought it was supposed to be a girls' weekend." Amanda elbowed him, half laughing. "Come on, don't tease her." But the damage was done. Her face flushed red as she forced a smile. Just a joke photo. You know how people are. Amanda shrugged and went back to her mug, while Chris pulled out his phone. Well, whatever's in that box, you might as well open it. Looks fancy. Alyssa hesitated. Her hands trembled as she pulled the ribbon loose and lifted the lid. Inside was a framed photo. That same picture from the bonfire, where she stood close to Cole, his arm draped around her waist, her head tilted toward him. The caption was still there at the bottom in neat handwriting. Weekend vibes with the best crew. Beneath the frame lay a small folded card. She picked it up and unfolded it slowly. Inside, written in Lucas's clean handwriting, were the words, "No signal, huh? Don't worry. This one came through perfectly." For a moment, nobody moved. The break room was silent except for the faint hiss of the coffee machine. Then Amanda gasped softly. Chris blinked, looking awkwardly away. Alyssa's hands shook as she slammed the box shut. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered, but the words sounded hollow even to her. By noon, half the office had heard. Someone had taken a photo of the framed picture before she could hide it, and now it was circulating through internal group chats. Cole avoided her entirely, pretending to be on a call every time she passed. Her phone buzzed endlessly. Texts from Lucas, missed calls, coworkers asking questions she couldn't answer. The facade she'd built, the perfect marriage she liked to mention at meetings, had shattered in one morning. Meanwhile, across town, Lucas sat in his truck outside one of his renovation sites, sipping coffee as his phone lit up with notifications. He didn't open any of them. He didn't need to. He knew what was happening. Revenge, he realized, didn't always need an audience. Sometimes the silence after a truth bomb was its own applause. His friend Marcus called. "So it's done." Lucas smiled faintly. "It's done. You sure you're ready for what comes next? Divorces aren't easy, man." Lucas leaned back, watching a crew of workers unload lumber from a truck. "I'm not doing this to hurt her anymore. I'm doing it to move on. She built her lie. I'm just letting her live with it." Marcus exhaled. "That's the calmest form of revenge I've ever heard." Lucas chuckled. "That's the point." When he hung up, he stared out the windshield for a moment, his reflection faint in the glass. He wasn't proud, exactly, but he wasn't broken either. Something inside him, something heavy, had finally lifted. Later that evening, Alyssa arrived home. Her car screeched into the driveway, headlights cutting through the dusk. She burst through the door, eyes red, hair disheveled. "Lucas," she called out, her voice cracking. "We need to talk." He was sitting calmly at the kitchen counter, reading something on his tablet. Without looking up, he said, "Welcome back. How was your trip?" Her words tumbled out. "Please, you have to understand, it wasn't what you think. Cole's just your boss," he interrupted quietly. "The one you said was harmless." She froze. "I made a mistake, okay? Just one. It didn't mean anything." Lucas finally looked up at her. His eyes were steady, not angry, not cold, just finished. "It meant enough for you to lie, to sneak around, to make me feel like I was the fool holding everything together while you were somewhere else." Tears rolled down her face. "Lucas, please, don't leave me." He stood, sliding a small envelope across the counter toward her. "Already did." She looked down. Divorce papers. Simple, precise, final. "I left you the car," he said softly, "and the furniture. Everything else stays." Lucas. But he was already walking toward the door, his jacket in hand. He paused before stepping out, looking back one last time. The thing about no reception, Alyssa, is that lies don't need a signal to fall apart. The door shut quietly behind him. And for the first time, the silence that filled the house wasn't peace. It was punishment. The first morning after he left, Lucas woke to sunlight spilling through the motel curtains. Unfamiliar but peaceful. For the first time in months, there was no weight pressing on his chest, no half-truth waiting in the next room. Just quiet, clean air. He showered, grabbed black coffee from the diner across the street, and sat by the window watching the world start its day. People hurried to work, couples laughed on the sidewalk, and life, simple, honest life, went on. He realized that was all he ever wanted. Truth, even if it hurt. Back at their old house, the silence was heavier. Alyssa wandered from room to room, barefoot, mascara smudged, replaying every choice she'd made. Every excuse. Every lie. The framed wedding photo on the mantel mocked her now. Two people grinning under sunlight. unaware that one day, those smiles would mean nothing. The office fallout had been brutal. Cole Patterson, the man she'd risked everything for, had avoided her all week. HR called her in that morning, said the company valued professionalism, and that she created a distraction. By noon, she'd cleared her desk. As she sat in her car gripping the steering wheel, her phone buzzed with one new message. Lucas, the lawyer will contact you today. Please handle the paperwork. No bitterness. No insult. Just calm finality. And somehow, that hurt more than anger ever could. Meanwhile, Lucas focused on rebuilding, not just his business, but himself. He moved into a modest apartment closer to downtown. His friends tried to talk him into nights out, distractions, dating apps, but he wasn't ready. He spent his evenings sketching designs for a new renovation project, a small cafe that had just hired him for a complete remodel. The owner, a widowed woman named Claire Henderson, was kind, patient, and passionate about creating something beautiful out of something broken. The cafe was old, the paint chipped, the floors uneven, but she spoke about it with the same fire Lucas once had about love. One late afternoon, as they worked on color palettes, she said quietly, "You've got a heavy look, you know that? Like someone who's been carrying too much for too long." Lucas smiled faintly. "Maybe I have, but I'm learning to put some of it down." She nodded. "Good. You can't build anything new if your hands are still full of old wreckage." Something about her words stuck with him. Maybe healing didn't come from revenge or closure. Maybe it came from creation. Alyssa, on the other hand, had begun to realize the depth of what she'd lost. Not just the house or the stability, but the man who had loved her quietly, fiercely, without conditions. She tried to call him a few times, but the number no longer worked. The day she received the finalized divorce papers, she signed them without fighting. What could she argue? Her guilt was proof enough. One evening, she stood at the same kitchen counter where he'd once left the envelope. The house felt cold without his voice. Her reflection in the window looked older, not in years, but in regret. The betrayal she dismissed as just one mistake had cost her everything that actually mattered. Weeks passed. Lucas's project neared completion. The cafe, now painted soft cream with warm amber lights, looked nothing like the decayed space he'd walked into months earlier. He'd rebuilt it brick by brick, board by board, and in some strange way, with each repaired wall, he felt himself repair too. On opening night, Claire handed him a cup of coffee and said, "To new beginnings." He raised it slightly. "Into lessons learned the hard way." She smiled. "Those are the ones that stick." The cafe filled with laughter, soft music, and the smell of roasted beans. Lucas leaned against the counter, watching people enjoy what he'd helped create. For the first time, he didn't think about betrayal or loss or what Alyssa was doing. He just felt alive. Later that night, as he drove home through the quiet streets, his phone buzzed, a number he hadn't seen in months. A message from Alyssa. "I saw the cafe opening online. It's beautiful, Lucas. You always had that touch. I'm sorry for everything." He read it once. Then again. There was no anger left in him, just a distant ache. He typed back, "Thank you. I hope you find peace, too." He hit send, tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, and smiled faintly as he pulled into his driveway. The next morning, Lucas opened the windows of his apartment. Sunlight washed the walls, and a soft breeze carried the scent of spring. He poured coffee, took a deep breath, and looked out over the city, a skyline that no longer reminded him of endings, but of possibilities. The man who once believed silence was punishment now understood something deeper. Silence, when earned, was peace. And though betrayal had taken his old life apart, it had given him something unexpected in return, clarity. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's rebuilding so beautifully that those who broke you can only watch from afar, wishing they hadn't.